Okay, everyone, we are live. So, I already see a comment coming in. Cement Shoe says first. Hope you're doing well, Cement. I hope you're having a good year so far. So, just wanted to make this stream just so I can catch up with you guys a bit and tell you what's going on from my end. So, for those who don't know, um, this week from Tuesday to Friday, I decided to overtake a shadowing experience at a in a clinic that's associated with IV therapy. Now, the IV therapy that the services that they provide is specifically involving vitamin C and chelation therapy, and which is essentially heavy metal detox. Now, the reason why I wanted to go into that is because, from what I was told, it was actually a friend of that doctor who referred me to that uh, clinic, and it turns out I missed you too, Cement. Missed you a lot. So it turns out that in order to be able to be eligible to work this kind of IV therapy, the only thing I really need to do is basically an MD degree and registration, like in the country that I am a working doctor, and I think that's actually fantastic because that means that I'm already have both of those qualifications. And since we're talking about natural therapy instead of pharmaceutical therapy, then that means that all I really need to do is just learn how to prepare these kind of solutions and administer them to patients. If you still want those conspiracy cards, I still have them. Yeah, absolutely. Well, actually, I am sort of running low on money a bit right now, Cement. So you can still hold on to them for now, but I am willing to still take them off your hands. So, anyways, I wanted to go in sort of in deeper detail about what this therapy consists of. So the IV vitamin C therapy, what it is essentially, the what I found out is there's actually a lot more benefits than vitamin C than most people would imagine, and some of those benefits have actually been proven to be much more effective than what's usually offered as solutions. And we're talking about stuff that can range from, acute viral illness all the way to type 2 diabetes and cardiovascular disease. And I think that's like, something that's going to become a big deal, especially later on in the future, because ever since COVID hit, many people have stopped trusting conventional doctors as a result, and now they're looking for more natural alternatives. Yep, I appreciate it, Cement. Thank you. So now they're looking for more for better alternatives. Homeopathy, acupuncture, IV treatment. And this is something I would definitely be interested in doing because I've always had an interest for, natural, solutions and, using food as medicine since I was about 21 years old. And, I'm still learning that, there's a lot of things going on that a lot of ways and how food can help that can be really beneficial for people. Now, going back to vitamin C, what I found out is that they're actually like this form of therapy, like especially when it's a IV form, this is really effective in boosting nutrients inside your body, so that way you're able to fight off infection much further. And then what I also found out is that this therapy itself, like the way that it starts out is like usually you have to go through a consult, and we would have to find out, like, what kind of therapy, what kind of medical problems each person has, and sort of do like a brief breakdown of it. And then based on what the patient has, we would, tell them a little bit more of what can be done in order to treat this or even cure this condition. So what I have found out is what can be done is, whenever starting, IV vitamin C, you always need to make sure that patient have has blood tests done, so that way we can check to see how severe the problem is. And then from there, like, the most important thing to check on is to see whether a patient's kidneys are working properly in terms of creatinine clearance, and also whether they have a specific protein deficiency, in this case, glucose 6 phosphate dehydrogenase. Now, the the importance of glucose 6 phosphate dehydrogenase is that this specific protein is responsible for helping breaking down sugar. And sugar itself is known to be detrimental to health, especially if it can't be cleared properly. And that's why it's important to have that specific protein in your body, because if you don't have it, the therapy isn't going to work. Or we would only be able to use like minimal therapy as well, because an overload would end up destroying your system. Now, um, as well, the one, so usually the way it would do in this treatment help to thin the blood versus pharmaceutical blood thinners. Well, actually, what makes this therapy beneficial is that it doesn't have as many after effects. Hey, Laura B, how are you? I didn't receive the notification. No, no worries. I actually posted it in the Discord, so sorry if you didn't get it. Now, pharmaceutical. I hate sweets and sugar. Well, that yep, and that's perfectly okay. Actually, Cement, this would actually be of benefit to you, because then the sugar itself would actually be less likely to intervene in this therapy, since with this therapy you're not allowed to consume any form of carbohydrates, especially involving sugars, bread, rice, and pasta, unless the pasta itself is a whole grain pasta. Now, something else that I've found out is you always need to be able to. There's actually no after effects related to vitamin C therapy, and which is actually what makes this better than pharmaceutical blood thinners. Now, vitamin C itself will not thin the blood. In order to b- in order to be able to help with thinning of the blood, some people actually put in heparin itself, which which actually does have some benefits if it's sort of like a low dose form. But usually heparin itself would not be a problem, would usually not be a requirement, since I never add sugar to coffee. Well, some people unfortunately do like sugar. I love my carbs though. Well, I mean, like, make sure that you're not consuming empty carbs, especially from, like, foods that have artificial sweeteners inside, because that stuff is way more deadlier than regular sugar. And there now, when it comes to fruits, though, fruits obviously have a sugar called fructose. There is a specific, like, the best kind of fruit to be able to consume to help with this therapy is actually any kind of berry, because berries have a very low glycemic index. And that means essentially that the fact that it's a low glycemic index means it's very little sugar, and very little interference in your blood, and also that there's a lot of nutrients, good nutrients to it. I'm addicted to pizza. Well, I mean, make sure that the kind of pizza you're eating would be like wood oven pizza. and stuff that doesn't have like a lot of carbs or additives put into the bread, because a lot of them like to put in soy inside the bread, and too much soy can actually interfere with testosterone. And that's a big deal for those who are growing up. Now in regards to, so going back to the vitamin C, so after they do the test, the blood tests, and the like check to see that your glucose 6 phosphate dehydrogenase is working, then you could get started with the therapy, and they usually start in increments of 25 grams of vitamin C. So it starts with 25, and then usually after another session they would increase it to 50, and then 75, and then 100. But usually they would want to measure how much vitamin C you're taking, the dosage in terms of grams per kilogram of body weight. So say for example you weigh 75 kilograms. So that means that your body would most likely be able to handle a maximum dosage of 75 grams for maximum efficacy. So you like raspberries and strawberries. That's perfect, Cement. So that's good, because then that means that it has the high, you would be eating a lot of antioxidants, which means they'd be serving as adjuncts to help with reversing any kind of tissue damage or any DNA damage that's going on in your body. But the best kind of berry to take is either a blueberry or an acai berry, because they tend to be packed with the highest amount of antioxidants. Now, of course, best antioxidants to take are, of course, vitamin A, C, E, and then you have the master antioxidant, which is glutathione. Now, since I smoke, a doctor told me to take vitamin C 1,000 every day. Is that 1,000 milligrams, or I assume it's 1,000 milligrams. So 1,000 milligrams is okay as an adjunctive, but it's actually okay. But I would actually recommend increasing the vitamin C that you take. Hello, Elizabeth. How are you? And then you also take magnesium. Oh yes, magnesium is very, very important, because usually magnesium itself is not only is it known to help with calcium metabolism, but it also helps with heart conditions and to help clean out blood vessels. So magnesium is like something that should not be underestimated, and it's also really good for preventing osteoporosis, especially when you take it in doses of between 400 to 500 milligrams a day. Magnesium itself is also added to vitamin C, sort of as like a booster to help, with increased metabolism. Awake, your body will pee out extra vitamin C. You're right, Elizabeth, but that's only if you take it in an oral form. That's why this is why it's better to take it in an IV form, because then it won't be broken down as quickly as if you take it in an oral form. Because when you take vitamin C in an oral form, your body would end up metabolizing it more quickly through the liver, and then you'll actually end up with less efficacy, because when you do it through your veins, you're going to get an instantaneous effect because it'll spread like throughout the rest of your body, whereas with the oral supplementation, the tablets itself would just get broken down more quickly through one pathway, and then you'll only get only a little bit of impact through anything that's been affected through the mouth, into the esophagus, through the stomach, and then the liver. It's also been proven that IV is, of course, the best form to take vitamin C, with the second best form being liposomal, because liposomal vitamin C goes through your body. It's actually is spread throughout your body through your fat. So it stays in your body much longer, because it's harder to break down when it's in a fat form, as opposed to normal vitamin C, which is in a water-soluble form. So the way it works is, after doing the vitamin C itself, you would start with 25 grams, and then you work your way up to 50 grams, then 75, and then based on what your body weight is, you would often be kept in that form as well. and then usually after about 600 to 800, usually after 6 to 8 sessions, then the your renal function tests or your kidney function test would be repeated just to see how your body is handling this handling the vitamin C. So the key thing about vitamin C in terms of how it works, like one big thing on how vitamin C works is especially in the treatment of cancer. Now, cancer itself, the reason why it works so well against cancer is because the way it works is that when vitamin C is introduced into your body, it breaks it. It also contains a compound known as hydrogen peroxide. Now, when hydrogen peroxide is introduced into a normal cell, it usually gets broken down with a protein enzyme called catalase, and that breaks hydrogen peroxide down into water and oxygen, which are beneficial nutrients for your body. Now, cancer cells actually don't have this protein catalase in them, so they're not able to break down the vitamin C and thus or the hydrogen peroxide. So thus the cell gets overloaded with hydrogen peroxide and then it undergoes apoptosis or programmed cell death, which is a great thing because that means that it's sparing the normal cells and it's killing the cancer cells. So that's the so what you should do next is sorry, so what you should consider, this is definitely something highly to consider for many people, so this is why actually many people are seeking out to undergo this form of treatment, especially IV form, because by doing so they don't have to undergo things like chemotherapy, which is known to attack both normal and cancer cells. And then it also end up with a lot of long-term after effects. Besides hair loss, you would get fatigue, depression. You'd get a lot of nerve damage as well, because and basically anything related to destruction of energy. That's why a lot of people feel like crap after taking chemotherapy, and why it takes a lot of time to grow, to sort of grow out of it. Now, something else, this, and you know what the weird thing is? Like, this specific clinic where I'm working is the only one in Europe that provides this form of treatment in high doses. Everywhere else usually has to do like a much smaller dosage based on bullshit standards created by the mainstream media, by mainstream medical associations, which basically taper it down to a very inefficient dosage. So I would definitely recommend, if anyone wants any form of natural treatment to help cure themselves of, say, cancer or chronic degenerative diseases, even like multiple sclerosis, autoimmune diseases, viral illnesses, bacterial illnesses, definitely try out this form of therapy. Okay, so well, Brussels sprouts are pretty good as they do have a lot of vitamin C, like baby cabbage as well. Like any green leafy vegetable is beneficial for you. Definitely something to consider when you're eating a lot whenever you're not doing this therapy. I mean, in addition to the fiber as well. In fact, I think like a lot of the green leafy vegetables tend to have a lot more potassium than a banana. In fact, what I've read is that potassium itself actually has one of the lowest. Sorry, I read that bananas themselves have one of the lowest levels of potassium, despite contrary to what many people report. They say whenever you feel weak, like you eat a banana, but there are other vegetables like green leafy vegetables like spinach and kale, Brussels sprouts, which actually increase potassium or have a higher dosage of potassium compared to a banana. Oh, so the shit that has been trying to kill me for more than 40 years. Yeah, I don't know what you mean by that, Elizabeth. Probably missing the context here. Kale tastes like shit. It does taste like shit, but the reason why it tastes badly is because it has that bitter taste to it. And that bitterness is actually what's good for fighting off the cancer because cancer tends to grow in an acidic environment. But if you consume like alkaline foods, that's better. It's better for the better to fight off the cancer. But if you don't like kale, then that's okay. Then you could just eat something else that's high in vitamin C. Now, one thing that you have that has one fruit that is known to have the highest amount of vitamin C is the rose hip, which kind of looks like it's small cherry tomato. So you eat that, and that could actually help regenerate like your vitamin C like much quicker when eating it in an oral form. But of course, number one would be the vitamin C itself, the IV vitamin C. Yeah, degenerative diseases. Yeah, that's right. So when I say chronic degenerative diseases, I talk about stuff like arthritis, uh, chronic fatigue syndrome, carpal tunnel syndrome, any form of like muscular or joint diseases, and which which can be of benefit. Which the IV vitamin C definitely is of benefit when it involves an inflammatory origin. Actually, for what rosehip oil is bad for your kidneys. Well, see, that's rose hip oil. I'm not, so there's a difference between the rose hip oil and rose hip itself. Like you want to be consuming the fruit itself. The oils themselves, like the way that they manufacture the oil is a problem. That's why you need to be like you have to make sure that whatever like oil you're taking, make sure that it doesn't have any artificial ingredients they can be pumping in there to actually ruin the kidneys themselves. Let's see, emphysema, polycythemia vera. Yes. Yeah. Oh, yes. Absolutely. Emphysema, without a doubt. Like the vitamin C itself has actually been known to help with patients who have any sort of chronic respiratory diseases because they themselves involve an inflammatory origin. Like all of these diseases that you associate with inflammation are all usually associated with like artificial foods or ingredients inside certain foods which inflame like those organs. Like in fact, chronic atherosclerosis itself, the main reason why people get chronic atherosclerosis is a result of chronic inflammation of the arteries, and that inflammation is just so constant, and then it ends up hardening, and then it becomes more difficult to reverse through natural methods like diet. Or so in that case, you would have to be able to do something like like something more direct, like IV vitamin C, to help reverse that inflammation. Obviously, of course, the longer you wait, the less likely you are to reverse it. That's why it's best to do it as quickly as possible. All right, thanks for dropping by, Laura. So that actually brings now going back to chronic degenerative diseases like joints and tissues. This is where there's another form of therapy that this clinic specializes in, and that's called chelation. So amino acid therapy has been doing wonders for daily living. Oh, absolutely! Like amino acids are essential for daily life for proteins because they help with coating of specific other proteins for your body to build up so that way it's able to help you get through the day, and also to increase endurance. Like amino acids are good, but they don't have much of a focus when it comes to fighting off infection or with fighting off certain degenerative diseases. Because then, most of the DNA, like usually a result of these autoimmune diseases, is a result of mutation from like certain genes inside your body that it ends up coding for something more toxic. That's right. Hit the like button for those who haven't done it yet, or smash it, or do whatever you like. So going back to the chelation therapies, this is the second main form of therapy that I would be interested in doing, And what I like about chelation, so the thing about chelation, for those who don't know what it is, chelation is essentially sort of like a detox of your body of any sort of, toxic metals that are hiding in your body. In fact, the word chelation comes from the Greek chel, meaning claw. And what it does is like a claw, it just like grabs a hold of those heavy metals and like takes them out of your body, where you in circumstances where the body isn't normally able to clean it out. The way that I like to it appears to go to the place needed most. Well, that's good. But the therapy itself, like the chelation, think of it like, for example, like say you've eaten something and then you forget to brush your teeth. Now, in the first few days, you're often able to sort of like clean it out, like, sorry, first few hours, you're able to sort of like just clean it out by flossing and brushing. But if you forget to do so, after a couple of days, it starts to harden the whatever food is left on your teeth, and then it becomes plaque and tartar. And then the only way that it can be cleaned out would be if you go to the dentist, and then they'd have to scale out most of the tartar and plaque. This scaling is essentially what the chelation would do to your body. Now, most of us, actually, no, I should say all of us have some level of heavy metal heavy metal poisoning in us. The thing is, we don't realize how bad it is because we usually consume it in at times that we don't even realize it. Whether we're touching loose change, we're touching dirty metallic knobs, or just like brushing your teeth, or like touching anything that's contaminated. And the thing is, you can only really detect, yep, chocolate lead. Well, yeah, any kind of lead essentially. Or even if you, especially when you're working a job that involves occupational exposure. So say like you're doing insulation, there's asbestos exposure. When you're working in a factory, there's like, lead exposure. There's exposure to like aniline dyes, which can be bad for your bladder later on in life with chronic exposure. Plus there's silicosis, which could lead to tuberculosis if not treated appropriately. And of course, like it usually takes like years to develop, and then you can end up with a restrictive lung disease, or like a fibrosis or a honeycomb lung, if you may. Now, what luckily there are some good there. That's what makes chelation so thick. That's what makes chelation so important. So the way it works is, when you do a when if you feel like you have symptoms of like acute lead poisoning, the best thing, usually the best thing to do is like when you do a blood test, it would usually show you like how much lead is in there. Now, unfortunately, the blood test itself is only good when it involves acute lead poisoning within the first couple of hours. With After a couple of days of the lead being inside the blood, it then ends up being absorbed into the tissues and the bone and the joints. And then from that point on, a blood test becomes useless because then it would give you what's called a false negative, which is essentially like tests where it would mean that like it would come back normal, but your body actually isn't normal because it's not able to detect the metal or the heavy metals that are currently inside your joints, your tissues, your bones, stuff like that. Now, there is a specific test that you can do, what's called a heavy metal screen, but unfortunately, it's not very accurate. And you could actually do this in many parts of your body. You could do it with the hair, you could do it with the tissues, and you can also do it in the urine. Unfortunately, if you do it with the hair, it can actually cause compromised results because there's a lot of factors which can impact, the hair itself. The most accurate way of checking for heavy metal screening is with the urine itself, because and then because that's how you can usually get like a more accurate level of what's being excreted out of your body. Now, the way chelation works is like just like with vitamin C, they give you a specific compound called magnesium disodium EDTA, which is that's the one that's used to most efficiently clear out the heavy metals inside your system. And just like with vitamin C, you usually undergo this like every 6 to 8 treatments, and then after that they check to see how accurate it is. Actually, no, it's actually more complicated than that. Usually, what makes this more complicated is usually they do this over 10 to 11 days, and then the way they test is through the urine. After doing the chelation, they would ask you to urinate um, to urinate um, to do a urine sample, and then from there they could do a heavy metal screening and then detect how much metal has come out of your body. And this is something that I think that all of us would definitely need to do, because with time, if you don't clean out your body of heavy metals, especially like specifically aluminum, arsenic, lead, mercury, or copper, that could lead to a lot of chronic degenerative diseases. In fact, most chronic degenerative diseases don't occur because of like overwork. They tend to occur because of heavy metal exposure. So stuff like cystic fibrosis, um, mesothelioma, um, chronic bronchitis, lung cancer, Alzheimer's are all a result of like heavy metal exposure itself. And I feel like this therapy is going to be a really big deal in the future, because you're normally not able to get rid of this stuff unless, of course, you find a way to get rid of the offending agent, or if you or if you manage to go someplace in the Caribbean or anywhere where you're not surrounded by these sort of toxic metals. So that's what I've been doing over the past couple of days. Like I learned all of this stuff just within a couple of days, and I feel like this is gonna be a big deal later on in the future. And I think I found my what I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life. And I want to keep doing this because I feel like I'm going to be able to help people on a large scale, instead of having to deal with medicine that doesn't actually benefit people but rather destroys people. Oh, have you seen the current Alzheimer's research out of Japan? Uh, I'm not too familiar with what's been going on in Japan, but if you can actually send me a link through Discord, I could check it out. What I do know about Alzheimer's is that most like the actual development of Alzheimer's is actually through accumulation of fluoride. When with fluoride you get a lot of aluminum, and that aluminum accumulates in your brain and causes neurofibrillary tangles to develop. And once those tangles are there, there's no way for your body to get rid of them. So chelation itself can also help with that. What I also found out is that chelation is also better at treating heart disease and any sort of vascular disease than, say, like a beta blocker, ACE inhibitors, statins, or stents themselves, because magnesium disodium EDTA actually has no after effects at all, like compared to a beta blocker or an ACE inhibitor. So you keep taking that, and that could actually clear out any plaques or uh, blockages that your body may be going through to help deal with circulation much better. Now, so anyways, so this is actually my goal that I'm gonna be doing. I'm gonna be shadowing this doctor a little bit more, and then with luck, I may actually consider heading to the US, so that way I could check out the clinic there and sort of get like a certificate, so that way I'd be able to do this kind of thing. What's this? Let me find it again. They are completing the amino acid strong and shrinking the plaques. Okay, now that is interesting. Okay, Elizabeth, that's very interesting, because shrinking the plaques with Alzheimer's is not something easy to do. This is something that we've been trying to figure out for quite some time. So yeah, find that link, send it to me because I really want to read it. What countries are you allowed to practice in? I might have to get a passport and come see you as a patient. Well, the thing is, at this point, I'm only technically allowed to, like, practice in Ireland because that's where I have registration for. I can't do it in the US unless it's under supervision with someone else. But you know what? Actually, um, if I were to go into another country like US or Canada, the only thing I would really need to do would be a licensing exam, or like a board exam in order for me to be certified. But in my case, since I've already done it for Ireland, then I'm actually all set. Now, as for the US, I think with the US, I need to be a little bit more careful because I would have to do the USMLEs, like the steps 1, 2, and 3s, and I've only done a portion of them. So I would have to finish the third one in order to be fully eligible to work there. I would have to double check with you on that. I was there when they discovered the plaques were aluminum cord. Yeah, yeah, it was quite disgusting. And the worst thing is, like, the best way for aluminum to get into your body is when you use tin pans. So if you're cooking with like aluminum coated pans, those are the worst ways of getting aluminum in your system because then the aluminum coats it coats the food and then you end up eating it. Fluoride toothpaste itself is also very bad. And then and then basically any other, like, occupational exposure to aluminium is bad. No, aluminum. It's not aluminium, it's aluminum. It was fascinating research. Yes. It really is, and that's the thing. Like, they're hiding it on purpose. Like, they really don't want people to, get better with this kind of stuff. But I feel like the pendulum is swinging in the other direction, and then, like, soon this therapy will become the ultimate solution for everybody who's suffering through these kind of degenerative diseases because it is proven that this stuff works. The thing is, like, all these mainstream media and doctors are doing their best to try and make it look like it's not working. They're trying to sabotage the results and it's failing badly. Like this doctor who's been doing it, he's been doing it for 24 years, so he knows his stuff. Like, he knows what to do. He knows how to help patients. And like, everybody who's gone to him has said nothing but amazing things about him. Like, it's all been they felt a lot better. They feel a lot more energetic. They feel like they don't feel restrictive with any of their limbs anymore. We're talking about stuff from like Hodgkin's lymphoma to arthritis. What kind of toothpaste should I be using? Excellent question, Samantha. So the kind of toothpaste you should be using, so Crest, Colgate, Aquafina, throw those in the garbage. They all have fluoride in it. And then also make sure that you're not using any toothpaste that has SLS or any preservatives in them because SLS is actually bad for your teeth. There is some, like, what I would recommend obviously is, of course, just get something that doesn't have fluoride in it. A lot just do not believe in it, not trying to hide. My pulmonologist was freaked out by the changes. Huh. And that's the thing. The thing is, like, all these, like, normal doctors, the problem, like, I've been through medical school itself. What they train you to do is what they think is how you're supposed to treat people. They just give you like a specific algorithm for you to follow, and then this is what you need to do. They don't teach you how to be higher thinking. They don't teach you like all these, like, natural methods because, well, truth is, the natural methods tend to be more efficient in the long run compared to medications, as medications have after effects, but natural therapies usually do not, especially IV vitamin C. Like, you could give as much vitamin C as you want and your body is not going to get impacted. There was a bullshit study claiming that vitamin C caused kidney stones, but that has turned out to be false. It turns out that study, the way that they came up with the conclusion that vitamin C was causing kidney stones was that that patient was already taking a medication which is actually more known to cause kidney stones than vitamin C itself. That right there is what's called confounding. When you introduce something else into a causal relationship, which ends up like compromising the results. I use sen- do not use Sensodyne. Do not use Sensodyne cement. That one also has fluoride in it. So one brand of toothpaste I would recommend is basically there's one called Tom's toothpaste, but I think they're owned by Whole Foods, and then Whole Foods is owned by Amazon.com, so that's not good. But basically, find anything like you would have to go into like a health store and not a pharmacy, but a health store, and then they should be able to show you like non-fluoride brands. Like find anything that's just not filled with fluoride, and then they should be able to help you. Do not use Sensodyne. Do not use Aqua Fresh, Colgate, Crest. They're all bad for you. We'll probably be live for about another 19 minutes, and then I'm going to call it a call it a stream. But you know what I'll do right now is I'm actually going to post the link, the StreamYards link, for anyone who wants to hop on for the last 20 minutes. Okay, so there's the link. So if anyone wants to hop on, go come on in. Tom's of Maine, I can buy their brand. Yes, that's the one I was looking for. Um, Tom's of Maine, that's an excellent brand because they don't have fluoride in theirs. So definitely consider using that brand and make sure that it doesn't have fluoride in it. Now, the thing that I should mention as well is that since we're talking about IV therapy, this stuff does not come in cheap. But when you consider the long run, this will end up saving you hundreds of dollars off, pharmaceutical brand medication that you would otherwise be like, wasting for like the next 30 to 40 years. Oh, need to get cooking done. Yep, no worries. Thanks for popping by, Elizabeth. So, like, usually this stuff starts out at like 250 euros a session, and then based on how well you're doing, it could either keep going at like 250, and then sometimes they would increase to 275 to 300 based on how much therapy you're taking. But this stuff does work. Like, the guy's been doing it for 24 years. I completely trust him. Like the guy himself is even willing to, hand me down his practice so that way I could take over for him, and then I could become a doctor without having to deal with the bullshit, the pharmaceutical bullshit that's going on in this world, or even have to undergo specialization for something that I don't even want to do. So, anyways, that's what I've been doing for 4 days. Hope everyone else has some interesting stories to tell me or any updates going on in their lives. Have you ever had interest in becoming a private doctor if the price was right? Well, that depends on, well, the thing is, in my case, like, the price being right for me no longer matters if we're talking about like, having to sell out my interests of, doing like do selling pharmaceutical brands. So if it involves pharmaceutical brands, I would not be interested in being a private doctor. If it involves doing natural therapy and well, actually, you know what, Cement? In this case, I would actually be doing a private practice. So in this case, I'm already doing like, natural conventional with a private method. Going public is no longer is no longer a solution for me because I'll just end up, you know, getting involved with hospitals, with pharmaceutical brands, and I just end up like just destroying myself. Yeah. So yeah, in regards to price being right, um, no, I understand. Like, I would need money to make myself financially independent, but if someone were to offer me, say, $5 million, so that way I could practice like all these pharmaceutical methods, I would easily refuse because I know too much about what's going on in this world, like in the medical world, that once it's impossible to go back. No, I meant for one client and patient. Oh, well, you know what? That would depend on who the patient was and whether and like what they were willing to what they were asking for. If it was for one patient, like it really would depend on what they were offering me. Hey Donut, how are you? As you can see, I've become a donut myself, specifically an Oreo blueberry donut. So I'm quite chunky and filled with a lot of cream. And since, having blue balls, that means there has to be blue cream inside. Looks delicious. It is delicious. It actually has like a yogurty cream inside, which is really really good. But yeah, so essentially, Cement, I would be interested, but it has to depend on what they're looking for and how much they're willing to offer me and like how long I'd be doing this for. Now, obviously, I would not be doing it I wouldn't be doing it for one patient if it means sacrificing everybody else because I just can't do that for you. Well, the thing is, Cement, if I were to do it for you, like, it'd be a really, really complex. Unless you were in Ireland, um, it would have to be like, under the radar, and I'd have to be willing to have your focus only on you. Like the thing is, like with IV therapy, you really don't need to be doing this long term. You only need maybe a couple of months at most before your body starts feeling better. I have money and despise medical bureaucracy. Well, at this point, like I'd have to start keep learning a little bit more and be able to like practice doing this on patients before I'm able to give you an answer. Like I have to be doing this under the radar if I want to do it like, with you, Cement. It's nothing personal. Like, because I need to be able to protect myself as well. So I mean, I am willing to help you, but I have to make sure that like, that whatever we're doing is under wraps. Or if we want to make it simple for each other, like you could actually, come down to Ireland and then I could actually show you the clinic where they do this. And then that way, like, it makes it easier on you. So that if you're looking for something more immediate, obviously, of course, you need to call the office and set up a consultation with them. But I mean, I could like send you all the information in private and then you could give them a call. I can technically go to Ireland. Oh, perfect. Yeah. Awesome. So so like, if you want something that's more immediate, like, the best thing that you can do is, well, first, before you go to Ireland, you should first call the guy and see what he has available. He usually works from Tuesdays to Fridays. And then, like, speak with their secretary, see what they have available, and then, set up an appointment. And then from that point on, you'd have to fly out to Dublin, and then in terms of like where to go next, I could just tell you that stuff in private. I live in states, but I can go where I please. That's good. Awesome. If you are planning to come to, do you still have my email? I think I have your no, 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 no. Yes, I still have your email. So I will, so what I'll do is I'll email you my, the, all the medical. I'll send you an email, and then I will send you, like, the phone number, the address of the place, and then that way you can give them a call. And then if you are interested in, coming by, then you can, book a ticket. And who knows, maybe we can see each other in real life, and then, like, you could, deliver the, conspiracy cards in person. Well, I'm still on for about 7.5 minutes. So if anyone else has anything else to say within the next 7.5 minutes, speak now or forever hold your peace. Hope everyone else is doing well otherwise. I'll bring hem with shrink wrapped intact. Sounds great, but it sounds awesome. So yeah, so what I'll do after this stream is I'll send you an email, and yeah, it'll have the phone number of the place, the, the address, and then you just call them on Tuesday, and they will, on Tuesday morning. So keep in mind that, we're talking about Irish time. So I don't know, I forget which, state you live in, Cement, but, so just calculate the time difference, and they usually start opening at about 10 a.m. So call at around 10 a.m. my time, and then they're usually open till about maybe 4 or 5 p.m. So give them a call then, and then see if they can, and then see what they would have available. Now, keep in mind that spots are filling up really quickly, so the sooner you call, the earlier that you'll be able to, come into the place. Okay, looks like we got another 5 more minutes to go. Anyone else have anything interesting to say? Weather has been pretty bad here in Ireland. A lot of snow actually fell 2 days ago, and it actually made a lot of polar caps in some of the mountains in Ireland, which was really shocking. And when you add in the dampness, you feel like, you're already shivering to death. I mean, today's no different either. So much shivering going on, and it's frickin' March. Usually, you would expect this kind of weather. How much snow? So, I'd say about 5 centimeters worth of snow fell between uh, Wednesday to today. And of course, like it was the central regions which actually got impacted more. The coastal regions actually didn't get much snow at all, which is really good. But like a lot of like the central parts of Ireland, like we're talking Wicklow, um, and then Limerick, they all got flooded with snow. Luckily, some of it's melting away, but of course the mountains were like, still pretty big, which is a really nice view. It's like visually it looks gorgeous, but in terms of experiencing it, different story. It's usually rare for it to snow in Ireland. It's more commonly around January or February, but March is like, you'd very rarely expect it. But then either way, like the rain would end up melting much of the snow away. Anyways, in regards to what I just said, anyone who wants to know more about this, just DM me on Twitter, or you can DM me on Discord in case you want to know more stuff. Otherwise, I got to be careful with, I don't want to say too much at this point because God knows what YouTube and the powers that be can do to my account if I talk more about this. So I figured I wanted to, make this a semi-long streams in case anyone was curious as to what was going on. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll leave it on for maybe a few more days before I privatize it because you never know what kind of lunatics will be trying to come in, trying to sabotage me. So other than that, I hope you enjoyed that. Make sure to leave a like at the end of the stream and comments as well. And I hope to see you guys in a future stream or around. And I'm happy for all of you for showing up. And other than that, take care. Hope you have the great rest of the day and enjoy.